The word control conjures up many things. While freeing to some, it can be paralyzing to others. We'll discuss a word's value, the word control, and more on this episode of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Oh, and I got one of those shirts on today that's going to do the squiggles. Can you see the squiggles?
I can. Sorry.
I didn't think about that when I put it on. Whoa, it's like the 60s all over again.
Okay. Fair enough.
How are you today, Tom?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Excellent. Good to
Thursday
hear.
morning. This week's flying by. And next week's a short week because Monday's a holiday.
Are there only 5 days in the week next week instead of 7?
No, there are 4 work days.
Okay. So the week
just means we'll all double time it to get done 5 days worth of work in 4 days.
Oh, this conversation again. I thought there were only 4 days of work.
Yes, but you have to do 5 days of work in them. So you're adding another 2.5 hours to each day.
Did you say yes, but?
I probably did.
It could be a yes. And there's 4 days of work. Why can't you think of it that way?
Okay. I'm going to take control of our episode and move forward. How's that sound?
If you would like, go right ahead.
I don't care.
Are you feeling uncomfortable?
I am.
Fair enough. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you are not feeling uncomfortable as we begin this episode of today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where every week we have a conversation around a topic. This week's topic, we are continuing to talk about a word's value. And as we mentioned at the top, as I mentioned at the top, today's word is control. And we'll get to that in a minute. So as we go along that conversation, if you would like to share some thoughts and ideas, please feel free to put it in the chat. We know that it'll add value to our show, and it might be helpful to someone else. It might be exactly what they are looking for. And then at the end of our conversation, when we decide to wrap it up, Bob and I will each offer our one thing around this topic, our today's antidote, that thing that might help you move forward and take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And you will also feel free to share that as well. But before we get to that conversation, we are going to dive into our celebrations. What are you celebrating today, Bob?
Perseverance. Getting up and working at that time when you really don't feel like it. When you would like to stay in bed, when you would like to not deal with life and all the many challenges, and still you get up and you do it. Not that I have any frame of reference for that today, none whatsoever. It just popped into my head.
Isn't that a little bit of control that you have?
Could be.
Could be. We'll have to hold on to that thought. Discuss that in a little bit.
Okay. What are you celebrating?
I am celebrating. What am I going to celebrate today? I'm going to celebrate that that sometimes you put in a little more work than you have to or than you need to. Sometimes the results from that aren't always what you expect. And at the same time, sometimes taking the action of getting it done, provides you with other results that will be beneficial. And so it's interesting that, when we choose to take an action and do something, there are lots of results that we can get from those things. And, I made a choice last night to stay up a little bit later to work on something. And one of the results is I'm a little more tired this morning. And another of the results is I got something completed that I've been working on for a while. And And no, it's not my book, for those of you who may be wondering about this. Unfortunately, that's not what I was working on. And at the same time,
right?
Correct. And at the same time, it helped me cross the thing off my list, which was a good thing to be able to accomplish today. So what do we have for our Renegade followers?
So pick a page in the book, The Renegade Way, Tom.
Pick a page. Pick a page. Let's just go for 50.
50 it is. It took me years to learn that I could present myself with positive or negative questions. Yes, negative comments and questions come more quickly and easily to me. I find that reality to be the case with most people I come in contact. Why wouldn't they? Most of us have a lifetime of experience asking ourselves negative questions. Discovering and integrating a more positive spin on things requires hard work. I still have to remind myself, I have to police myself. I have to surround myself with positive people. I have to be diligent with myself when I stray towards the negative. When I live in the world of positives, great things happen. Renegades see positives. I hear from others who have seen my positivity, which they say encourages them to look at things more positively. In that way, we can be a force for global positivity. Good begets good, and we can all use more good in our lives.
Did you close the page?
So much
already?
You could say.
I'm sorry?
So much you could say. I know.
Well, it would be interesting. I'm curious. Will you indulge me for a minute?
Absolutely.
Can you go back to that page?
It was page 50, right?
Yep.
You're going to ask me what was before it, right?
Nope.
Go ahead.
Can you read that again without and take out the words positive and negative, or any derivative of those words?
Okay.
And see what it says. Be interesting.
Right. It took me years to learn that I could present myself with questions. Yes, comments and questions come more quickly and easily. I find that to be the reality in most people I come in contact with. Why wouldn't they? Most of us have a lifetime experience asking ourselves questions. Discovering and integrating these questions into things requires hard work. I still have to remind myself, I still have to police myself, I have to surround myself with people. I have to be diligent with myself when I stray. When I live in a world of questions, great things happen. Renegades see the answers.
Interesting. How does that change the whole thought of that? It's interesting to me.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to what I said because I was too busy trying to take the words out to really hear it.
You could do that. And I think that it would be interesting to see. There was a lot of power in the statement that you just read. That was different.
The first one or the second one?
Both.
Okay.
They were different. And it was interesting to listen to that. Because when I was listening to it for the first time, I almost started counting, and then I chose not to.
Okay.
The number of times positive or negative or something, some version of that showed up. There were a lot. And which is okay.
Probably a dozen.
Which is okay. And it just made me curious of what it would sound like when you removed those. And I think it would be interesting for you to go back and listen to it.
Okay. All right. I'll go back. All right. Didn't see that coming down the pike.
Well, try to mix things up a little bit. Keep you on your toes.
That's it.
All right. So let's dive into our topic. Control, and the word control. So seems like there are some things you'd like to share about that. So why don't you kick this off for us, Bob?
Okay. This is going to be very autobiographical and very, very, very vulnerable, I think. I like control.
Okay.
I
think we've established that.
I feel very unsettled when I'm not in control. I don't like the feeling of not being in control. And I'll give you an example. I have never been drunk. like super drunk, maybe once, but not like Friday night, get real drunk and not be able to get back home, because I like to have that control. I like to drive places. If I go with someone else, I like to drive because I like to be in control of the driving. I have to remind myself when I'm in an airplane that the pilot knows what he's doing, because I feel a very great sense of being uncontrolled in that situation. Because if they fall asleep, bad things could happen.
So you would rather go fly the plane than the pilot?
In some ways, yes.
Okay.
And in my business life, where it comes into play is often, and I guess being a leader, often you can't be in control. And the hardest thing for me is to accept that I'm not in control. Like you and I were involved in a meeting yesterday afternoon. I controlled that meeting as best I could, and it worked out fine. But there are times when meetings don't work out the way you want to control them into. And I've had to learn to accept that. And I've learned to accept in my business. In fact, it's happened this week. I lost a fairly good client this week. And I can't control that. That's a choice they make. I could, oh, let me give you half price. Let me do this. Let me do that. It doesn't work. And so I had to tell myself, I can't control what's going on for this person. It's out of my control, and therefore away it goes. That's hard for me. I mean, just saying that's hard for me, but doing it's even harder. And it's hard. It's gotten easier for me. It used to be hard for me when I'm working with teams, where it would be like, okay, guys, I'm leading and you need to accomplish these things. And if they weren't doing them, I felt like I had to go in and control them and the situation. What I've learned more is people want their own control. And so most everyone's probably struggling through this whole idea of control for themselves. And so the more you can give people the sense of control of what they're doing and what outcomes, I think the happier they'll be. How's that for throwing a lot at you?
Well, yeah, I mean,
control vomit.
No, it's what's real for you. I'm all right with that.
This is a topic that I've spent a great deal of time and money trying to figure out. This is not an easy one. And the word control, if you said to me, how would this show be the easiest for me? It would be if I was controlling the flow of it. You control the flow of this almost every morning. There's about a morning every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes it's 4 weeks, where I feel like I have to take control. It's literally, damn it, I've got to take control. I almost did this morning because I need to prove to myself I'm in control. But what I've come to realize with this program is you being in control of it actually makes my job easier and less stressful. And I think that's another piece of control. With control comes more stress, more worry, more frustration, and more getting stuck.
I wonder, and as you've been sharing, I've been thinking, I wonder if control really does make things more freeing. Or is it just the same old, same old?
I don't understand your question. I'm sorry.
Well, I just, it sounds like for you that that you value having control. And
I'm most comfortable.
And what that provides. Yet I wonder if it really allows you to learn and grow. Or because when you have control, you know the results you're going to get, or you at least believe you want to get these desired results. Is that fair?
Yeah, or you're working towards, I would say you're working towards an objective, which is different than, in a team environment. If I'm in control and we're working towards my objective, what if your objective in that team is equally valuable or perhaps even more so? And I just haven't thought of it.
Well, that would be my question, is if the leader feels like they always have to be in control, how will the team grow? They will only be able to grow as far as the leader allows that to.
Mm-hmm.
If you say this is the way to do it, even though someone in the group says there's a different way, I was thinking about this, and I think no, we have to do it my way. How does the team grow? How does the team learn? How does the team change?
They don't.
So maybe not having control has some value. You allow other things to impact you or the organization or the team. That you can't always control what the results are going to look like. Sometimes it will have one impact and sometimes it'll have another. Yet I think that gives the team a chance to learn.
Right.
A chance to change, a chance to grow. And again, we can't always control what the results are going to look like. And we have the chance to expand as a group, which in the long run might provide results that are different and yet more valuable. What do you think about that?
Different. I'm a firm believer that 3 heads is better than 1, or 5 is better than 2, or 10 is better than 1.
You are. Yet you have to be in control of all of those heads.
Often,
how are they better? They're just the same. What is the difference if you have 5 heads or if you have 2, and yet you are the one always in control? You will always control the actions, which likely means you are going to get similar results. So why have 5 rather than 2?
It makes sense.
I don't know if it makes it's a thought.
It makes sense. What are your thoughts on control, Tom? I know it's not your word, but share your views. Yes, I'm moving. I'm intentionally moving things. You know it, and I know it. Here, you want the real signal? There it is.
I was waiting for that, actually. I think that, to me, there are things that we definitely control. We control the actions we take. And that's about as much control as I believe I would like. Because otherwise, if I know what I'm going to get, if I can control the results, I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to discover things that happen. And sometimes when things don't go the way that I thought they were going to go, I learn a whole lot more. When things go the way I do, I usually tend to not forget. They become too commonplace, and I don't give them the credit that's due. Here's an example I'll share. If you're giving a speech and you always give it the same way, and people seem to enjoy it, you get feedback, and yet do you really grow? When something doesn't go the way you planned, or someone challenges your theory, you have lost a lot of control. And I would imagine that causes you to pause and think differently and understand, well, if they're thinking this way, maybe there's something to that. Maybe not. And that's going to have an impact on us, no matter whether we think they're crazy or think they're a genius. It's going to have some impact on us. And so it allows us to change and grow and look at it with a little different perspective, with new knowledge and a different experience. And so lack of control actually allows us to see things and get results that we weren't expecting, which allows us to change and grow.
Wow.
So not having control, to me, allows me to understand results and then figure out how to move forward from them.
Wow. I'm going to break in with some comments. We've got a comment. I think this is our good friend Frank. Early today, Tom and Bob. I love that he does that.
Yes, indeed.
Makes my day. And then I'm not sure who this is. I've been trying to figure it out, and I cannot for the life of me figure it out. So whoever you are, thank you so much for wishing us good morning in the heart. That is that makes the morning so much more bright. So
Certainly.
So Tom, what's your one thing this morning?
I think my one thing is that
you look. Do you want to talk more?
I don't know. I was waiting for you to respond.
I'm processing. You've thrown a lot at me. So let me see if I can capture what you said in my words, just so I can make sense of it. By taking control, we lessen the opportunity to learn from experiences because the control is pre-selecting, pre-setting how it could go. And if it was supposed to go a different way, we wouldn't know that. We would control it into our way. And the different way could be advantageous. It could be a number of things. And from that difference, we have the most opportunity to grow and discover new things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've got an ice cream headache now that you can't believe.
Well, it's interesting, so here's, as I was thinking about this, and again, it's fascinating how often my officiating of girls and women's lacrosse comes into some of these things. When I'm very comfortable and I feel like I'm in control,
Mm-hmm.
I think I sometimes am not as focused because I feel like, the game's going fine. No, this is, it's the teams are playing nicely. The coaches aren't yelling. And then something happens. And usually it's because I am not as focused as I could be. When I feel like things are out of control, and so I might not, even though it's in control, things are always still going to happen. And because I'm maybe not as focused, I might not make a call that I see, or I might not apply something because my mind isn't as focused on what's going on. Because I feel like I'm in control. Everything's going along smooth. This is great. Then I see something. Well, wait a minute. What was that? And then I'm not prepared to react in the way that would probably be most appropriate. When things are a little bit out of control and they're moving fast, and I'm laser focused on what's going on. And in those situations is usually when I don't always get the results I desire because it's moving fast. And yet what I am able to take away from that is a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm able to learn that this is what happened. Okay. It happened. I couldn't control it. How can I learn from that? So that I might be able to react to it differently. And I think that's the way we are with work. You talked about teams. Is when I always felt like when I sort of let control go and allowed my team to do the things that they put them in control to do things, usually we as a group discovered a lot. And it allowed the group to learn. When I tried to control everything that they did, we didn't gain a whole lot from that usually. So that's why I think there's the opportunity that not having control for me over other people's actions allows me to grow because I can learn from what they do. And it allows me then to have some control over the actions that I take based on what I've experienced. That's my one thing.
That was a good one thing. That was really good. I think for me, the one thing is to just maybe for the next week or two, watch when I take control of situations and what causes me to want to control it. And I think as I think through it right now with one specific example, I want to control it because I want to ensure that the outcome won't hurt me in any way. And the interesting thing about it is no matter what happens, it could happen. And I could probably see myself just controlling it to death and then making the outcome that I least want happen because of my exercise of control. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
I think
All
so.
right.
I think it's one of those things that when you try so hard to gain a result is when you typically don't. Someone once shared to me this thing. I remember when I was younger, and
I was gonna say, when you were young,
it was around dating and that thing. And they say that when you're really out looking for someone is when it's really hard to find someone. When you just kind of let things go, things and people start to appear in front of you. And I think that is, you can take that into businesses. Yes, there are some things that we need to control, the actions. I think I have tried very hard to control the actions that I have taken throughout my life. And I'm happy with that. And yet at the same time, I think I have learned to let go of control of what the results look like based on that. And that it's just what's real for someone. And when I can understand that, there's less likelihood that I'm going to be hurt, as a word that you use. There's just an opportunity to learn from it. It was not an easy place to get to. And yet it was like, okay, if that's the way you feel, that's what's real for you. And I'm all right with that. Doesn't mean it impacts me in some ways, yet I can't control it. And so how do I move forward from it?
A lot going on here today.
Well, of course, because we're talking about a word's value. And I think we would love to hear if you had thoughts on that or an antidote you'd like to share. Please feel free to put it in the comments. If you're uncertain about it or you have more questions, post that as well. And we'll go in and respond to it. Whatever social media you happen to be watching this on, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or
LinkedIn Live.
I want to shake your mind up a little bit. I thought that might help. We will definitely respond to it. All right. Anything else you want to add, Bob, before we shut down?
No, I think this has been really a complicated discussion. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this one at least once more.
Interesting. Well, it'll be interesting to see what you take from it the second time around.
And I want to read that section of the book, hear myself reading that section of the book, because I didn't catch it when I was doing it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for being a part of our show today. Hopefully your mind you didn't have brain freeze as well. Or maybe you did, and maybe that will help have some impact on how you're able to move forward and take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you inside our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where we'll be talking about this all week long. So please come in and join the conversation. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. or 8 a.m.
Doesn't matter.
Why don't we just stay consistent for the week? 7 a.m. Eastern Time.
7 a.m.
for our next edition of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone. Anything you'd like to share at the end, Bob?
I'm sorry. I was processing. You throw so much at me. I was just completely like my mind. I'm sorry. My mind was totally wrapped up in what you shared with me, this whole control thing. So, hey, folks, embrace the renegade in you.
Excellent. And maybe consider taking out negative, positive. See what that does to the language that you use. Just a thought.
I'm going to try that today.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.